Common Currency, Common Identity, a new study by Fedra, Negri, Francesco, Nicoli, and Theresa Kuhn. In January 2002, during the largest ever currency changeover in 12 European countries, Romano Prodi, which at that time was the president of the European Commission, summarized the expectation behind the introduction of the euro by saying that to millions of European citizens, the euro notes and coins in their pockets make Europe tangible and visible in everyday life as never before. The euro will thus become a key element in their sense of shared European identity and common destiny. Indeed, from its onset, the euro was intended to be more than a mere instrument for economic exchange. It aimed to provide a symbol of collective identity that could be tangibly experienced not only by national and European political elite, but also by a wider audience of European citizens as they engage in cross-border exchanges, purchases, and interaction. The euro has been described by McNamara as an identity marker that shapes the EU as a taken-for-granted social fact and helps in building an imagined community. Given such premises, almost 2 decades after the currency changeover, can we say that the euro has helped make the European society real in people's mind?
In a new research paper published on the journal European Union Politics, we investigate exactly this question, exploring the relationship between the construction of a European identity and the introduction of the euro. We use Eurobarometer survey data to measure European identity, and we use Eurostat data to control for other macroeconomic indicators. Our sample includes 26 European Union countries observed from 1996 to 2017. We look at the share of Eurobarometer respondents who identify only with their nation and not with the European Union. In fact, European identity is a multi-level concept. It can coexist next to national identities, and therefore the most important dividing line is between individuals who have some form of European identification and those who exclusively identify with their nation. In fact, over the last 20 years, as shown in this chart, all European countries experienced a decrease in the share of their population who identifies exclusively with their nation. This is true for Eurozone countries, but also for countries who never joined the Eurozone. In fact, this chart also shows that Eurozone countries already identified more strongly as Europeans before the introduction of the euro and have remained more stable over time. This means that in the period 2005-2010, where all other countries were experiencing a sharp increase in the number of nationalist identifiers, Eurozone countries remained more stable nonetheless. How are we going to explore these relationships? In our paper, we raise 2 hypotheses. First, we postulate that the introduction of the euro is associated with a lower share of respondents who report an exclusive national identity. Second, we postulate that this negative effect of the euro introduction increases over time slowly. First off, our results support our first hypothesis. We find that on the short run, immediately after its introduction, the euro succeeded in becoming a symbol affecting European feelings of belonging towards Europe. In other words, the euro had triggered a momentum-like negative effect on the share of people with exclusive national identity. This effect is small, about 3%, but stable over time. However, we do reject our second hypothesis. We find that on the long run, the euro has no incremental effect on European identity. In fact, it exhausts its negative effects on the share of people with exclusive national identity in the short run. In other words, its positive contribution to the construction of a European identity does not increase over time.
To summarize, our first hypothesis is supported. The introduction of the euro is associated with a lower share of respondents who report an exclusive national identity. However, our second hypothesis is not supported. This negative effect of the euro introduction on exclusive national identity does not increase over time. All in all, our studies suggest that common identities may stem from the construction of common institutions, insofar as these institutions facilitate meaningful social interactions. Therefore, while the lack of common identity is often used as a rhetorical artifact to constrain the construction of common institutions, integrational processes could benefit from effective institutional design. If you want to know more about our work, please have a look to the full article that has been published in the journal European Union Politics, and thank you for your attention.